What is up, my friends? So let's talk about the wild ending in You. The show definitely will have you pondering the important question there is in life, and that is, what justifies one not closing the curtains? Seriously, why would you ever leave your curtains wide open, especially when you were changing? The show follows a guy named Joe who meets a girl named Beck, and it's love at first sight, for him, of course, only. Joe begins stalking said girl, and what follows is the show that keeps you glued to the screen for the 10 episodes and doesn't let you go until the end when you're left scratching your head wondering where the fuck did this come from? So by the end of the show, Joe and Beck now having been together, broken up, and back together again. The next morning, however, when Joe's neighbor Paco, whose mother is dating a psychopathic beater named Ron, which we'll talk about Ron later. But anyways, so Paco returns a book that Joe let him borrow earlier in the season and tells Beck about the secret compartment Joe told him that every apartment in their building has. So Beck is like, okay, let's see what Joe has. So once she finds the compartment, she is shocked to find her panties, her best friend Peach's phone, who Joe actually killed, her ex-boyfriend Benji's phone, who Joe actually killed, and Candace's locket, who she believes Joe might have killed, and everybody else does as well. And the most disgusting part is Benji's teeth, because Joe couldn't leave a trace of Benji. So Joe finds out this is happening, and he locks her up underneath the bookstore where he worked. He justifies that he's keeping her locked up in the name of love, and everything that he did was solely for her, and that she should feel grateful for it. Beck, of course, hysterical at first, but over time she's like, I have to win him over, so I need to pretty much cool it down and have him believe that I'm falling for his bullshit. All this is happening, however, Joe ultimately ends up having to kill Ron, the man who's abusing Paco's mother, because Paco tries to beat up Ron with a baseball bat, and he pretty much fails, and Ron looks like he's about to beat him and kill him, and that's pretty much what he says. He tells him, you're dead. Luckily, Joe shows up in time, and he stabs him straight in the throat with a knife. Joe and Paco make a pact to themselves that they will not tell anybody what happens, and Joe will just discard of the body. So back to Joe and Beck. Joe ultimately falls for Beck being more sympathetic towards him and accepting, and she even writes a manuscript where she incriminates her therapist of all of Joe's crimes to show him how much she was willing to bend for him and pretty much stay with him. Joe goes into the cage thinking that this is actually going to happen, and she pretty much tries to escape. She stabs him and locks him up in the cage, and she runs to get out of the bookstore. And then we see Paco show up, and she tells Paco for help. Paco's like, no way. Joe just did what he did, and we're in it together, and I'm not going down. So he runs. She pleads for help from Paco, but he's like, he does the race, and he's gone. He doesn't help her. Joe manages to grab her from behind, and then we cut to black, and it looks like some time has passed now. We found out that Beck is now dead, but her manuscript detailing Dr. Nicky as doing all of Joe's crimes is now published as her final book, and it incriminates Dr. Nicky of killing her as well. He is arrested for Peach's murder, and Joe sets his eye on a new girl now, even though he's still like reeling from Beck and all of that. He's like, well, I guess I'm moving on. And then when he approaches said girl at the bookstore, it actually turns out to be Candace, and she says, we have some unfinished business. So what the hell just happened? Well, for starters, is Beck really dead? I want to believe that Joe could never kill Beck. He has said this numerous times to her. I believe Beck is somewhere being held captive by Joe, and we'll definitely see her pop up in season 2, which just got confirmed to be happening. Actually, season 2 is a go, so for all of you people wanting to know, it's happening. Another question is, where has Candace been, and what does she want with Joe now? I think Candace was probably left for dead by Joe somewhere, or being kept somewhere. I believe she would try to blackmail Joe in some way to get revenge on him. It's definitely something I don't have the answer to, but I can guess that this is where the series is headed to. The show is based on a book that does have a sequel and will actually have a third book on the way, so we can get some clues from there. And from what I've read, the book is a little bit different than the show, because in the show we don't have Paco, and then we don't have Candace showing up at the end. And Joe is actually the one that moves to California at the end, where we see Paco move to California at the end in the series. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what they pull from season 2 from the book. Everything is still up in the air as what's going to happen in season 2. They have already started filming You, so I'm pretty excited to see. I'm definitely going to be reading the books and seeing exactly what happens, and I'll make another theory video for you. But let me know what you think. What's going to happen with Joe's loose ends? Do you think that Beck is dead? Why is Candace back? How does she survive? What happened to her? Is Dr. Nicky going to go to jail? Is he going to take the fall for all these crimes? What exactly is going to happen? It looks like the PI that was actually investigating Joe doesn't believe it, so we probably are going to see him season 2. I'm so ready for this. I hope we get the season this year. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, that's going to do it for me. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. 7,000 subscribers. Let's get to it. I'll see y'all next time. Stay positive, my friends.